I believe that 99.9% of humanity will actually die from the exact same reason. 1 in 2 humans are going to be diagnosed with cancer. Jaw dropped. We are undergoing mass-scale psychosis. Zombie movie. You look around in this world right now and it is like a zombie movie.
What terrifying truths can be learned from being on a carnivore diet? Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and welcome to my channel where I review and debunk nutritional information online. In this video, and it's from someone who does a carnivore diet and is actually writing a documentary film on it, he's learned a few things about following a carnivore diet, and I have to say he's someone who's quite passionate about it. I find it very interesting, and more as a clinical person, I find his way of saying things to be, well, passionate and persuasive. Be sure to listen to the end when you hear my final thoughts. Before we dive into today's video, I want to invite you to take keto nutritionist Amy Berger's free masterclass, The Secrets to Breaking Keto Fat Loss Stalls. If you're doing all the right things but stubborn weight still won't budge, then Amy's masterclass is for you. See the link in the description to sign up.
I believe that 99.9% of humanity will actually die from the exact same reason, and they'll actually die decades before their time should have been, and it's terrifying to me. I have been doing carnivore for 600 plus days. It's completely changed my life forever. I'm down over 100 pounds since my heaviest. I had gout, I had IBS, I had a CPAP machine, had to wear one of those stupid masks on my face that I absolutely hated. I snored every single night. I had multiple kidney stones. A couple of years ago, I had a TIA mini stroke. They diagnosed me with congestive heart failure. I was a mess, but beyond all of those things, I had horrible depression and anxiety for years and years, about 15 years. And I was on every SSRI antidepressant. It did nothing for me. Carnivore has saved my life.
He's not alone. You can look at the comments below any of these kinds of videos, and I don't think they're all bots being put there. You can come to my clinic and you'll hear stories about this. Carnivore is a subtype of a low-carb diet. I teach low-carb, keto types of diets, carnivore-ish, if you will, and these are benefits that you see over and over and over in a clinic that addresses lifestyle. And Keto Carnivore Clinic is one of them that is effective at changing all of these things. To me, this is not surprising to hear. To you, it might be overly dramatic and you can't believe it, but no, it's something we see every day.
I want other people to have the healing that I have. And so in today's video, I'm going to share with you some terrifying, jaw-dropping, astounding carnivore truths that are right out there in front of every one of you. But many people, my former self included, couldn't see these things, or we have accepted these things and we've normalized these things. 99.9% of humanity will all die from this. 99.9% of us won't live to be 100. Now, you may think this sounds crazy, but there is all sorts of science out there to show that every single human should be living to be well over 100. You can look in the telomeres. There's all sorts of research that supports this. We are dying. This is the first terrifying carnivore truth I wanted to share with you. Humanity as a whole is dying in our 70s. Google this right now, average life expectancy in the United States. Should be all over the news. It's going in the wrong direction. Despite billions of dollars spent on healthcare, science, technology, we're dying younger now, and it's going in the wrong direction for the first time in a very long time. We are happy if we make it to our 70s. I made it to 72 with aches and pains and ailments and issues and depression and migraines, using a walker, working my entire life to get to retirement age and then barely being able to walk and then dying a couple years afterwards. And we're happy about that?
Yeah, no, I hope you're not happy with that. And yet there is an expectation among certain people. Haven't you seen this where some people they actually act old all their life and or even act like they're going to be dying soon, and they don't. But the idea that you have to have the average of 7 medications now, which someone age 65 is on, and to be in a wheelchair and all. Of course, sometimes it's from accidents, but it shouldn't be from chronic medical conditions like diabetes or even arthritis. You should be able to have the longer and healthier life as he's talking about. Of course, you have to address the sources of inflammation, and the diet is the biggest source. So I think what he's just trying to say, and I joke in my clinic, is that you can be vigorous and healthy when you're older, and it doesn't have to be a continual decline. I say to many of my patients that I'm here to get you in shape for retirement, because often there's this expectation that you will just continually decline. We change the lifestyle, get off the medications. I see people come back and then I give them a hard time for joining the cult of pickleball, which is extremely popular in our area and many other areas in the US. But that just means you're out getting activity and exercise. It could be swimming, it could be tennis, it could be golf. So, come to a metabolic clinic, come to the Duke clinic, my clinic, if you want to get in shape for retirement. Of course, we don't deal and push the medications. We help you to get off the medications, which is a big part of feeling better.
The second one I have for you, this is a fact, you can Google this. 1 in 2 humans are going to be diagnosed with cancer. Jaw dropped. Your jaw should be dropped right now. I have a family of 6, so that means that 3 of my loved ones, my daughters, possibly my wife, possibly myself, 3 out of the 6 of us are going to be diagnosed with cancer. That is a terrifying carnivore truth, and it's happening slowly over time, so people are just like, that's just the way it's always been. False. Eating highly inflammatory tank lubricants, seed oils, sugars, high fructose corn syrup, food dyes that are illegal in other countries, all of this garbage, ingesting massive amounts of glyphosate over the course of our lives. Low-level dosages of glyphosate and pesticides, years and years, decades and decades, and we're all getting cancer. People are actually surprised about that. I'm not surprised. I know why we are getting cancer. It's our departure from what is natural, primarily through the foods we're eating.
Well, that's a good supposition that something new is causing the cancers. To support that, there were some studies done of the Inuit population. This is one of the low-carb populations or ethnicities that went for years without eating carbohydrates. In the Arctic area, there aren't many carbs. They can't grow, it's too cold. And so when the Inuit were studied, they really didn't have cancer. This is around the year 1900. And other people kind of noticed that the indigenous populations didn't really have cancers. And is it something new in the environment? Is it, probably. Is it the food? Is it the plastics and the other kind of exposures, pesticides? Well, all of it might contribute. And the food contribution can be minimized by changing from ultra-processed and sugary foods, for sure.
Another terrifying carnivore truth I want to share with you is humanity as a whole, 8 billion people on this planet, we are undergoing mass-scale psychosis. Stick with me. We're all addicted. The majority of humanity is addicted to sugar, carbs, the standard American diet. This food was engineered. Companies paid millions and millions of dollars over the years to just optimize and make these foods more and more addictive, because the only thing they're looking at is profits. And you increase the addiction dial, more and more profits just go up, up, up. That is a terrifying carnivore truth, that the majority of humanity is addicted, because it puts the majority of humanity in this state of denial. Well, I'm just fine. It's not that big of a deal. And this new social norm that this is just the way things have always been. We've always been addicted, and 70% of us has always been fat.
Yeah, great points. And the idea that something has been around a long time, always been that way, well, it might be for our lifetime. And I guess, so I was born in 1960 when all of the junk foods came about, and so it seems to me like it's normal to have Captain Crunch and Fruit Loops and all those things. When you go back a generation before, it wasn't available. And so what we think of as normal and healthy and all can be just what was normal in our experience. We have to be able to get up and go not only back in time, but look at other countries, other mammals like he's doing. So I find that in the medical world, we're often falsely or artificially contained to clinical trials, for example, and nothing else counts. I don't think that's true. I think we can learn from not only other people's experiences, but other mammals, other species, and the idea of getting out of our own experience. Well, that's kind of the human condition, isn't it? That we're stuck in one body, and most people have trouble getting out of that one existence. But I grew up with Fruit Loops, Captain Crunch, and those things, and I don't think they should be available for children. And even though I grew up with it, because we know the science now is not supportive that it's healthy. Which, what if we turn the screw, so to speak, that if you have to introduce a new food, you have to show that it's healthy. So imagine that the cereal manufacturers have to do a study of randomizing children to cereal or no cereal and follow them for 5 years to see what percent of folks got childhood obesity, fatty liver. Now, before allowing something on the market, you make companies, food companies like drug companies, assure the rest of us, prove that it's safe and healthy. No, that's not the way it works. If you put the food out there, it's not illegal. It can be unhealthy and legal. So knowing about it is really, really important. Until there's government change or societal change, you can make change yourself.
You try to get off of that sugar and see what happens. Everyone tries to encourage you. Oh, come on, you can have one. Just have one cupcake. Why are they doing that? Because they are also addicts. They're like a group of drunks and you're the only one not drinking. Oh, come on, drink with me. You're ruining my time for me. That is a terrifying carnivore truth. If you really realize it and put your brain around this, that the majority of humanity is addicted. I have no addictions. Other species of animals don't have addictions. It's only humans.
Well, going on the addiction theme, showing that a substance is addictive can be helpful in order to get medical treatments, in order to get awareness that action can be taken either legally or ethically, morally. So the idea that tobacco was addictive, doing studies to show that there was withdrawal and that people craved it and there were physiologic responses to smoking, was important for getting awareness that it was a health and medical concern. That has to be done for sugar and ultra-processed food, and it's just starting to happen. So there was a meeting this year of addiction specialists who were coming up with the language of how we can call foods addictive, ultra-processed food, and how we might be able to put medical language around it, give it a code, and be able to code for it and get paid for it. That's just starting. For tobacco, I think it was easier because, as he says, who would think that inhaling a burning weed with paper around it would be healthy? Well, it's the same awareness about food and sugar being addictive isn't there. And for a lot of people, they'll never really admit it. And the reality is that it's addictive and so much easier to get that it's harder to quit for a lot of people.
Zombie movie, the next terrifying carnivore truth. You look around in this world right now and it is like a zombie movie. It's a mild state. The zombies aren't killing each other, but go sit down at the grocery store now and look. People's carts are just filled with pure waste. It's mild poison. It's sugar, it's highly inflammatory, it's killing them slowly. You look around at the grocery store, you got people with their limbs amputated from the foods they eat.
Yeah, that's the harsh reality, is that the foods, often unwittingly, people are eating the foods that are poisoning themselves, for sure.
Another terrifying carnivore truth is glyphosate. I urge you to do some research on glyphosate. I think we're just scratching the surface on this. Dr. Zach Bush has done some excellent work on this. Go check out Dr. Zach Bush glyphosate. It's everywhere. It's all over the Mississippi River. Billions and billions of pounds of this are pumped and sprayed all over our crops. It washes into the Mississippi River, other waterways. It evaporates. It's in the rain. They tested many states around the Mississippi River in the south, and almost all of those air tests returned back glyphosate. And glyphosate is everywhere. 70% of the air tested, it's in there. What do you think is happening? And a lot of people aren't talking about this yet. Dr. Zach Bush talks about it a little bit. I believe it's destroying our guts and having all these downstream effects, and it's going completely undetected.
Well, the glyphosate and Roundup has not been my area of research. And as we talked about in prior videos, when you look at an environmental exposure or a toxin and you show correlation between exposure and having certain diseases, it's nowhere near 1-to-1. So the idea that if you've been exposed to glyphosate, you're going to get cancer or some other problem, it's not 1-to-1. You're looking at correlations. And a toxic exposure like that will never be turned around into a randomized controlled trial where you expose this group of people to glyphosate and those people not, and you follow them over a period of time. That would be very rare to do. It wasn't done with tobacco and cigarette smoking because the relationship was so strong between the tobacco smoking and emphysema, chronic bronchitis, and lung cancer. What I see with the glyphosate is that it's being pushed into the same sort of, put on the Christmas tree as an ornament onto the current health movement, and it's something that people can get upset about and sue other companies, that sort of thing. But it's not anywhere near the level of evidence that you can get to by doing a randomized trial of giving someone carbs or not having carbs to see the reversal of diabetes, the reduction in obesity and other chronic medical conditions. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know the relative importance of the whole glyphosate issue. And even if there's exposure and there's some cancers and there are 15 studies that show that, you can have very small relationship and correlation, and it's not really causation. If you, let's say, gave humans, other species are okay to study, but it's not exactly the same as humans. So if you exposed folks in a randomized, the reason randomized trials are important is that you have to be able to control for other health issues, other factors. And so if you just say here this area had exposure and there was a small increase in cancer, for example, that's not going to be controlling for all the other differences that there might be. So anyway, I don't see the same concern personally because that's not my area of research. I've listened to people like Zach Bush and looked at other research on it, and it's still at that exposure correlation level, and that is just a little less convincing for me. Well, and I'd ask you to leave a comment down below the terrifying truths that you've learned, seeing things without the scales in front of your eyes anymore. I'm looking forward to the Healing Humanity documentary film that he's working on. I think it will help lots and lots of people for sure. And if you're not sure what to do, this is the first time you're watching this sort of thing, I don't say try it for 30 days. In my clinic, that's too long. I say try it for a day. Try to see it for just a day. The hunger goes away remarkably fast, 1 or 2 days. The hunger and the weight, if that's what you're trying to fix, if you're trying to fix the diabetes, the blood sugar comes down on the first day that you stop consuming all of those sugar-raising carbohydrates. So I usually barter for even less than a month, 30 days, try a day or two. Of course, if you're on medication, you want to be followed by a doctor who knows how to get you off the medication, a coach or a doctor, a nurse who can coach you to get off the medicine safely. And I really want to thank the Healing Humanity group and putting the documentary film together to influence other people that yes, you can change your life and improve your life, even though your doctors aren't supportive. They only talk about medications. Lifestyle really is unbelievable. If you like, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and look out for content on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and check out adaptyourlifeacademy.com.